government to operate a challenge fund that seeks to support sustainable job creation that is in the short to medium term. We also identify scalable, replicable, and sustainable job creation model. We often work with implementing partners who are intermediaries. What we do with these partners, we share the risk and leverage the networks that they have. We also share in the funding of these projects. We also tap into their technical expertise. We play a complementary role in the social protection and employment landscape. When the Jobs Fund was established, it was established in the principle which says that there will be knowledge sharing as one of the foundational pillars. And we have a rigorous monitoring, evaluation, reporting, learning framework. So to this end, we regularly host and participate in knowledge and exchange sessions, knowledge sharing sessions with our partners as we are doing today. Now, in the webinar that we are going to have today, we have tapped into two of our partners who are Motheo Construction Group and SP Impact Fund. We will look at their different models in supporting the Black SMMEs in the construction industry. Both these partners support SMMEs by providing technical and business training, access to funding for operating capital, and the purchase of building material. So before I hand over to our speakers, just briefly on the house rules. As the presentation is taking place, you are welcome to post your questions on the comments section. There are people who have been allocated to respond to those questions on the comment section. So everybody will be muted until we get to a section which will be the Q&A. This will happen at just after 11. So without any further ado, let me hand over to the Motheo team, which is led by Letu Mashau and Godfrey Kemper. Over to you, Leti. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lina. A very good morning to everyone this morning. My name is Letu Mashau. I'll be taking you through our journey that we had in the last 18 months through this partnership with Jobs Fund. Can you please find my presentation on the other side? I've been allocated 20 minutes, so I will dive straight to my presentation. Motheo Construction Group have subscribed to the principle of small business development prior to the legislative requirements. In our last 27 years of existence, together with the research conducted, it has been very clear that 93% of the emerging construction contractors, which are the SMMEs, are unable to sustain a business past a 3-year period. Upon further investigation, it became clear that business or management knowledge was the missing ingredient that needed augmentation. And when we discovered that, we didn't sit back, but we embarked on a mission to introduce the EDP program. The Motheo Construction Group Enterprise Development Program was therefore formulated with the following in mind. First one, to develop and mentor developing organizations in the construction industry and to assist them to become independent and sustainable. The second one was to have a model that is sustainable and simple to manage. And the last one, we made sure that we formalize the mentorship process. Next one, please. The focus is on the development of the entire organization, which is the organization itself and its employees. We ensured that there's better sustainability and more individuals benefit from the development program. As the organization develops, natural and sustainable job creation occurs, which for us as Motheo is very important. Every time we implement projects on different communities, what is key for us is to ensure that we empower the locals, we create jobs, and there's more focus when it comes to training. The development model achieves this by identifying key personnel within the Motheo Construction Group who guide, coach, and mentor those active in the same role within the developing organization. So what we then do, if it happens on the construction site, we look at the whole chain from a supervisor, foreman, site agents, fund surveyors, construction managers, and identify people that can be made available to be paired with different SMMEs to ensure that they access those skills that are available within the organization. External training interventions by subject experts are sponsored when needs are identified to ensure development and growth. On that point, I think what is important to mention, before we even embark on this program, we first conduct a needs analysis, which then identifies the requirements that needs to be put on the table to support the SMMEs. So when we then look at the skills requirement, we'll then identify what sort of skills will be required to support the SMMEs. The specific aim of the program is to develop the organization to achieve independent operational capacity at its maximum potential level. The model is designed to ensure that the support which Motheo Construction Group provides to the developing organization is slowly withdrawn throughout the levels of development in an agreed and structured way. Normally what we do, we'll put the SMMEs on a program that spans from anything between 1 to 3 years, and in that period, we'll have a clear structured program which will then have short-term interventions and long-term interventions. And by the time we get to year 3, it's very clear of what has been done and the conclusion of the program is properly managed. Next slide. When it comes to work opportunities, through Motheo's development model and supported by their building and civil construction division, contracting opportunities have been created on live construction projects. So we've got a national footprint and we have active projects across the country. So what we then do, we identify the projects that are live and see how we can then allocate the identified SMMEs across the country. It has been noted through detailed needs analysis with emerging contractors that access to actual life opportunities remains one of the greatest needs and challenge of emerging contractors. I think on this point, it's important for me to emphasize that we find a lot of SMMEs struggling to get continuity when it comes to exercising their expertise on site. And why? Because of the limitation of contracts out there. We're all aware of the construction mafias that are there, and sometimes it becomes very difficult to be importing people from other provinces to get involved on a specific project. Motheo, in partnership with Jobs Fund, have thus provided opportunities for emerging contractors in Gauteng, Eastern Cape, Mpumalanga, and KwaZulu-Natal on live construction projects. And these projects that we provided, they were ranging between BNG houses, roads projects, middle income walk-up units, warehouse centers, and social housing units. We make sure that through those projects, our SMMEs are given an opportunity to advance their skills. Next slide, please. One of the areas that we look at when we do our needs analysis, it's the compliance. With access to opportunities being one of the greatest challenges, the Motheo Jobs Fund partnership has ensured that emerging contractors are assisted in obtaining compliance documentation and marketing material. Having compliance documentation in place, which includes your tax clearance certificate, workman's compensation, CIDB, NHBRC registration and upgrades. We are very proud that when it comes to the CIDB, we've got cases where we managed to onboard contractors that started from grade 1, and some of them are now sitting at grade 6. And we have another one that has already applied to be considered for grade 8. So for me, that's very important because those are tangible proof to show that when we are intentional about providing the support and mentorship, we can have tangible results. Coupled with that is the marketing material in the form of company profiles, company websites, company logos. All these things have placed the emerging contractor in a strong position when seeking new opportunities in the form of open tenders and other subcontract work. Next slide, please. We have our internal fully fledged training division. This division was established at the back of the need that we recognized as a company, that every time we do a project, we're doing a lot of informal trainings. And something that we did, not because we were expected to do so by the client when we started doing this, but we felt it's our responsibility as a contractor to ensure that when we finish the project, we can leave something tangible. So at the back of that, we then established our division called Motheo Academy, which provides different kind of programs within the construction industry. And the kind of programs that we provide, they are CETA accredited. So formal certified training of personnel from all levels within the emerging contractor, further assist the emerging contractor in their development and gaining access to the industry with qualified personnel. Our training interventions include the following: business owner training, contracting training, supervisory skills, health and safety training, and technical skills. The technical skills, we're talking about training around brickwork, plastering, tiling, plumbing, and electrical skills. So those are the things that we are doing in-house. We've got a workshop where all the trainings are provided. Next slide, please. Cash flow is the biggest challenge in our industry. I'll talk about the construction in this context. The Motheo Jobs Fund partnership has positively impacted the emerging contractors' cash flow. Through the mesh funding, emerging contractors have been remunerated for work done on presentation of their invoices, thus not having to wait 30 days for payment. I think for the contractors that are in this webinar, they are fully aware that sometimes we wait for between 60 to 90 days for payment to come through. So what Motheo Jobs Funding Partnership has done, it has allowed us an opportunity to pay our SMMEs between 7 to 14 days, which is something that you don't find out there. And that has provided an opportunity for our SMMEs to be able to be more sustainable, and we appreciate the support from Jobs Funding. Project finance and scaling. The mesh funding has assisted Motheo to scale the opportunity to more emerging contractors than what would normally be accommodated by Motheo on their own. To date, we have 113 baselines that have been conducted on emerging contractors, which is double the anticipated number of planned emerging contractors. And on that note, I would like to appreciate my team for making sure that we exceed the target. Supplier relations. Through the matched funding, emerging contractors have gained access to construction materials and have commenced building relationships with material suppliers. Building a track record is never easy, but with such programs, we then provide an opportunity for our SMMEs to start building their track record so that when they go out there in the market to go and seek for more opportunities, they're able to demonstrate that they've managed to have an opportunity to manage their own material and how they've managed the cash flow. So all these things, they build a very strong foundation as far as sustainability is concerned for the SMMEs. Next slide, please. Further on skills development of emerging contractors. Employees have been positively impacted with training being conducted through all levels of organization, with your management skills, contracting skills, and technical skills have been structured through the organization, not forgetting the importance of health and safety training and the liability of business owners. So you'll recall on my other slides, I had all list of the programs that we provide. So in the past 27 years of Motheo's journey, we've identified the areas where there's a lack of understanding and exposure when it comes to the SMME. So the program has been structured in a way to address the challenges that we have identified in our last 27 years of existence. So health and safety is one of them, where you'll find people will not take it serious. We all know what has happened recently in Cape Town, and that again shows that you cannot take health and safety for granted. It can change the life of your business overnight. So we make sure that we provide those kind of training so that the owners and the supervisors can understand their liabilities when it comes to health and safety. Informal training is conducted on site with tacit knowledge transferred from Motheo site management and site supervision staff. Assistance is provided to emerging contractors in the form of planning their works, ensuring quality through induction and training into Motheo's ISO 9001 quality management system. A good part about the quality management program that we have is aligned to the ISO standards. Motheo is ISO compliant, so when it comes to how we manage our quality on site, it falls within the framework of the ISO 9001. So it's important that when we then train our people on site, they are coming from a very solid foundation. And when they move to a different client, they'll still be able to maintain the right quality. Emerging contractors are inducted and trained into Motheo's ISO 45001, which is the occupational health and safety management system, transferring safety skills and ensuring compliance is retained at high level throughout the construction site. Again, on this one, it's very important to note that it was not just a health and safety training that was conducted, but it was in line with the ISO 45001 compliance system. Next slide, please. Our focus was more on the youth. Unemployed youth specific training interventions have been embarked upon in the form of the GETC construction learnership and new venture creation training. When it comes to the GETC construction learnerships, further to the employed learner training, through the Motheo Jobs Fund partnership training opportunities, we have created 60 unemployed learners who underwent and are still undergoing the GTC construction learnerships. Under normal circumstances, this type of training would not have been possible without the support of the jobs funding. When it comes to the new venture creation, the Motheo Jobs Fund partnership has created further opportunities in the form of new venture creation for 60 potential emerging contractors who have a passion for construction but have not been provided with and training or guidance. This training will culminate in the formation of new emerging contractors equipped to commence business, complete with marketing material and company websites. So that gives you an idea of the kind of program that we put in place, which then takes them from the beginning, and you don't only look at the business owner, but you start from the owner, you provide the business management skills for them to understand what it means to run a business, down to their supervisors who have to be upskilled by making sure that they've got the right certificates for the technical skills and the health and safety and all other programs that I touched on my previous slides. Next slide, please. When it comes to the performance of emerging contractors post the incubation, mixed success has been achieved post-incubation, with the greatest challenge being access to opportunities once projects come to completion. This problem is notably more pronounced in the rural areas of the Eastern Cape and Mpumalanga, where real opportunities are limited. We are saying this because we had projects within those areas, and at some point you'll find that once the project is concluded, it then becomes very difficult to maintain continuity with those SMMEs. With a key focus on assisting emerging contractors to ensure that all compliance documentation is in place, has led to opportunities for emerging contractors in the Eastern Cape being able to tender for work packages advertised by SANRAL in the Cape and the Southern areas where opportunities are limited. This is a great story, because if we did not have this program, there is no way these SMMEs would have managed to have a strong foundation that allows them to go and compete with clients like SANRAL. And I think for that, we commend the work that has been done by the team. A challenge faced by Motheo in creating opportunities beyond the initial project where emerging contractors were employed is localization. Communities from areas where new projects are established will not permit non-local entities from working in their area. This is understandable, as the opportunities within these new work areas are also limited, and emerging contractors from these areas want to ensure the long anticipated work for themselves. Greater success has been achieved where emerging contractors have secured new opportunities on new projects. The needs analysis conducted with the emerging contractors noted the key to their sustainability of emerging contractors is the continuity of work. On that point, I want to emphasize that once you've provided a solid foundation for the SMMEs, it then becomes easier for them to go and compete for the opportunities that requires the scope of work that is within their capabilities. So it becomes very important that once we have provided the foundation, they can go out there, identify their track record. Next slide. The project sustainability is created through the recycling of funds that have been ranked first for the emerging contractor support, The continuous recycling of funds paid to emerging contractors upon presentation of invoices provides a mechanism to extend the support beyond the initial targeted emerging contractors. When it comes to the cash flow, we all know cash is king. If we don't have enough cash, we are unable to implement our projects. So this one goes without saying that when you have a positive or healthy cash flow, you allow your SMMEs to grow without any challenges. Skills transfer, tacit knowledge transfer from on-site mentors allocated to the emerging contractor, combined with knowledge transfer from industry professionals, utilizing practical and live work conditions and formal training interventions will further enhance the transfer of critical contracting skills to emerging contractors. On this point, as an established contractor, I think I have really discovered that there is no way we can expect the SMMEs to grow without an intentional commitment from emerging contractors from established contractors to ensure that we support them. So we need to be intentional about mentorship, and we need to be intentional by making sure that we provide them with the needs that they need, we provide them with the training, and we try by all means to provide those opportunities within our project. And yes, it's difficult to be moving contractors around because of the limited work scope out there. But I just believe if you can identify few contractors that you can then take a decision as a business that these are the contractors that I'm going to support for the next 3-5 years. And one day you want to see them sitting at grade 6, grade 8, grade 9. And for me, that's what I call success. So when we're sitting at Motheo, I cannot sit and celebrate the fact that we are the leading Black women owned. The question is, what are we doing for others? So those are the things that the whole organization understands, that every time we are given an opportunity, it's key for us to involve the other emerging contractors. And the proof is there. It's there on people that we've taken from grade 1 and they are now sitting at grade 6. And now some of them are moving to grade 8. And we are proud of those stories. Next slide, please. That then brings me to the end of my presentation. And on that note, I would like to use this opportunity to thank the Jobs Fund for this great opportunity that you've afforded us. You've allowed us to extend something that is very close to our heart as Motheo. We were then able to expand our mentorship programs, to bring on board more SMMEs, to provide more training to the industry, and that would not have been possible if we didn't have your support. So on behalf of Motheo, thank you so much for the opportunity.
Hi there, colleagues. My name is Jeffrey Kemper. I'm the director at the Motheo Academy. Thank you, Letty, for excellent presentation. I just wanted to take a moment just to address some of the questions that have just popped up in the chat. The first one from Daryl Crossman. He says, "This is great. You've highlighted 113 SMMEs participated. Is there any idea of the number of workers that were affected by the program?" So I can answer that. So initially, there was a target of 50 SMMEs. So that number, as Letty mentioned, has grown to 113. And originally, there was a target of 408 individuals, and that number has grown to 636. So I think we're a bit ahead of schedule there. Maybe a second question here from Justin Chalke. You attribute your success to keep 60 unemployed youth hopeful, to the support by Jobs Fund. How does Jobs Fund support Motheo Academy Group? That's from Justice. from the incubation hub. So I can just comment. Obviously, Letty has covered some of the aspects of that already in the presentation. But of course, for us, it's very important that we continue to inspire the youth, young people that are aspiring to get into the industry. For young people, there's so many barriers and challenges, to live their dreams. And so these types of programs definitely create an access point for young people. Giving them the practical skills is very, very critical. Giving them access to a work site where they can express the skills that they've learned. And of course, direct them into opportunities that we see in the industry. And of course, Motheo is a big employer of construction youth. And so we also engage with other contractors that we work with and see how we can develop opportunities with other contractors. Okay, and then we've got Brian Kabira. I think maybe I'm going to direct this one back to Meleti if you're there. He talks about the construction mafia question, reality or myth, and what are the challenges proposed. Meleti, can I ask you maybe to just talk about that construction mafia for a moment?
No problem. Thanks, Jeff. I think when it comes to this challenge of construction mafia, it's something that is really affecting our industry. And as Motheo, we've had various encounters where we've implemented projects on areas where when you arrive, you will have a group of people coming to you. They demand to be appointed, whether they are competent or not. Number two, they demand their own rates. So you've tendered for the work and you've used your market-related allowables. When you then talk to them around those issues, they don't understand. And number three, they then force you to appoint them within their rates. And sometimes when you try to engage clients, it becomes very difficult because you have clients that will tell you that this has nothing to do with us. You need to sort it out yourself. We then find ourselves having to revise the rates and further dilute our margins that are already tight. I mean, when we started the presentation, I think it was mentioned when we were talking about the industry that the margins are very tight. Then you end up diluting further in order to accommodate those demands. So which means by the time you finish the project, you'll break even if you are lucky. If not, you work, you finish a project that you are not even proud because you did not make money. So it's a serious challenge. And I think what needs to happen is that we need the support of our clients. We cannot be left alone as contractors to deal with these issues, because some of these issues that we face on the ground, they were created by the client, because sometimes there is expectation that is created out there that there's this big project coming and we are all going to benefit. But when those things are not properly communicated, you then plant a seed to your contractor, your local contractors, that there's a big opportunity coming, everyone is going to be rich. And when we arrive as contractors, you tendered on your market-related rate, and you get there, you are expected to pay rates that are not reasonable. So I think what is key is for us to have great support from the client. We need support from the police. We've had projects where our people were locked in on site, and when we approached the police, we were told that, no, go back and sort out your issues. I mean, we cannot be exposed to such environment. We need the support from the police. So I think it's something that can be addressed, provided we all come together to fight this biggest elephant that is in the room, which will kill this industry if it's not addressed properly. Thanks. I hope I answered your question around the construction market.
Yeah, thanks to the team from Motheo. In the interest of time, we encourage people to put on the chat, and then also we respond on the chat there. We are going to move to the second presenters. This team will be led by Stephen Nzandeni, who's the CEO of SP Impact Fund. He has a BSc degree in building management, which he received from UCT in 1994. He's grown up the ladder to become a CEO of SP Impact. So over to you then, Stephen.
Lionel, can I ask, perhaps Bonolo is ready, and then Bonolo can come in before Stephen comes in?
Okay, is she ready now?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thanks, Bonolo.
Coming together is a beginning. Keeping together is progress. Working together is a success. My name is Imogen Bonolo Sebata, founder of Imogen Consulting and Projects. Our services are, but not limited to, providing 10 key solutions for office refurbishments, building, and supplying of construction aggregates. We feel incredibly privileged and honored to be the beneficiaries of the Jobs Fund program, as administered by Motheo Construction Group, led by the visionary woman, Mrs. Leti Mashao. As an SME, we have faced significant challenges in areas of finance, resources, skills development, particularly for the youth in our organization. Fortunately, Motheo Construction Group, through the Jobs Fund program, provided us with the necessary support and resources to address these challenges. As part of the program, they have also appointed and assigned Mr. Greg Williams and Zai to serve as our mentors, and they have been consistently available, ensuring that all our challenges are lessened. During the mentorship program, our core focus area was on the development of youth management skills and also to equip them to navigate the complexities of the construction industry, as well as to seize opportunities. The team was imparted with critical technical and business skills, as Ms. Mashao indicated, in tendering, pricing, contract negotiations, cash flow, financial management, and more. These skills and knowledge that we gained did not only empower us, but they built great confidence, expertise, and have been instrumental in our success. As a result, we have won several contracts from one of the financial institutions, which rated us 8 out of 10 for the refurbishment work and management of projects. We have further secured a 3-year contract for the supply of concrete sand. With that being said, the support and mentorship received enabled us to restructure our organization, significantly scale up our business activities, drive our growth and success. Right now, we're sitting at 6 CE and 5 GB, all to the program. And as the saying goes, growth is never by mere chance. It is the result of forces working together. And with that, I would like to give over to our young manager in the organization, Teddy Sinokwane, who will give an overview of how he is implementing the learnings within the organization.
Thank you, Bonolo, and good morning all. As introduced, I'm Teddy. I want to take this opportunity to thank Jobs Fund and Motheo for the workshop and trainings that I have attended thus far. With that said, the trainings have been of great importance to me. I have improved in a lot of areas that I was not so confident in. My business communication skills, my attitude towards business challenges, and client relationship have improved drastically. I am now able and capable of planning a project, delivering a project timely and efficiently. As we speak right now, I am currently responsible for a 3-year contract project of delivering fine aggregates, and my responsibilities are monitoring, reporting to relevant stakeholders, selecting reliable supplies, ordering material, coordinating transportation from supplier to 6 different sites. On the ongoing discussions, I was responsible in negotiating payment terms and discounts. I cannot discuss contract revenue projection and based on a contract value, project profit and loss statement. For example, on the project that we are doing currently, the client was having difficulties in understanding transport per cost per kilometer calculation. They wanted to calculate transportation based only on kilometer. But with the knowledge that I have, I managed to confidently correct them and correct the matter. And after corrected the matter, they verified and confirmed that I was correct according to my explanation. This would have affected our profit and caused a loss in our company. I'm now in a better position to identify risk, come up with risk management strategies and equipment breakdowns, weather delays, local community strikes, and natural disasters whenever they occur. And I would like to thank the Jobs Fund and Motheo for all the trainings that I have been a part of. And with all the knowledge that I have received, I will be taking it back to my young colleagues within our company and obviously conduct trainings with them and workshops internally. Thank you very much. Danko.
Danko.
Job well done there, Bonolo. And it's nice to see beneficiaries, proving that our model works when we partner with our partners like Motheo and SP, who we are going to go to their presentation now. As I'd already introduced, Stephen Sandeni, who's the CEO of SIP Impact Fund. Just a reminder, please keep on posting your questions on the chat and we will respond there on the chat as well.
Good morning, colleagues. Do you want to switch on the video briefly just to show my face? Morning, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, Stephen, you are audible.
Yes, Stephen, we can hear you.
Okay, I'd wanted you to switch on the video briefly just to show my face, if possible. Or can I proceed?
Please proceed in the meantime, Stephen.
Okay, yeah, you can go through to the slide. I will be doing the whole presentation from our side. Starting with our background, the name is Stephen Sandeni. I'm the CEO of SP Impact Fund. We are a funding organization that was established in 2019. We have a complement of 15 staff members, of which 5 are male and the balance of 10 are female. Established in 2019 through funding that we received from the Jobs Fund. Thank you very much once again. We also had seed funding of 10 million that was contributed by Conco and also our own funds. SP Impact Fund is NCR registered. We are also registered for FICA and also we are also registered with FIC as we are in the lending space. Our focus is on funding majority-owned Black SMMEs, specifically women and youth in the construction space. We sort of treaded where most people fear, but given the gaps that were there, when we conceptualize the model, we wanted to venture into that space because it's the space that is underserved, especially when it comes to SMMEs. We offer support in financing, access to markets, training, and also opportunities in mentorship. Our funding is, we strive to offer fast and flexible funding. We provide working capital, purchase order funding as well, with less stringent requirements than traditional banks. I'll elaborate on that. As you are all aware, most banks are very fearful of funding construction-related work, mainly for the risks that are involved in that space. Our funding is based on the strength of the client that is responsible for the project, which we call the paymaster. And also we look at the profitability and viability of the project rather than the history of the SMME. I'll give an example. Edgar's has listed you. We will note it and encourage you to clear those issues, but that is not gonna be the key focus of our decision in how we fund the SMME. So we offer flexibility, tailoring the funding based on the needs of the project and the strength of the project. Our focus is also on helping SMMEs to build long-term success by providing repeat funding to these SMMEs. We will elaborate on this one later on in the presentation. If you could go to the next slide. As mentioned, we offer the following funding solutions: working capital. We also do purchase order funding, material supplies and procurement of materials, and also invoice discounting. For those who engaged with us at our presentation, I think it was 2 years ago, our focus was mainly just on construction funding, but based on the experiences and the needs of the SMMEs that comes to us, we have expanded our services to then cover all those 4 areas. Working capital, purchase order funding, you do get SMMEs that get purchase orders for procurement of construction-related equipment, materials, so we do offer those services. And also invoice discounting, which then covers issues such as delays in payments from the clients, which then affects the SMME. So we are able to bridge that gap so that the work on site doesn't stop, the SMME's cash flow is not affected. We also offer non-financial services, which includes assistance to our SMMEs with compliance. As I mentioned before, when you apply for funding from our side, we need to comply with FIC, which is a compliance related matter, and also comply with FICA. So we then also assist the SMMEs. These requirements are similar to the requirements that an SMME will be required to comply with when they then tender for work in the government space. We also do training through our training providers, and also in training in business management to our clients. On-site mentorship, we provide this through the partners. We partner mainly with main contractors who then provide opportunities to subcontractors for mentorship. Technical and vocational education provided also through our training providers. Then we also have partnered on a procurement side with organizations that do bulk procurement, where when we procure for our SMMEs, we can then lump their orders together so that we're able to access bulk discounts on procurement of material. You can go to the next one. So since launch in 2019, we have facilitated job creation. This is jobs created by the SMMEs that we funded. Over 3,200 jobs to date have been created. We have onboarded and created development plans for over 162 SMMEs. This is where we sit with the SMME, look at their needs, look at where the gaps are, and develop a development plan that they can then follow to be able to participate in the construction space. We've provided training, construction related, but this is short-term training based on the duration and the funding available to us. So the training will be similar. It's training such as health and safety, working at heights, construction site related training, but not your long-term training, just because of the amount of funding that we have available to do this. We funded over 50 SMMEs. Most of them we are still funding as repeat clients, because that's what we strive to achieve. Because once we know each other, once we know our requirement, it becomes very easy for us to do repeat funding to the SMMEs, because we've already gone through the hurdle of understanding who this person is. So we prefer growing our cadre of SMMEs so that there's repeat funding and sustainability in their business. We also spend over 5 million rand in the training that we refer to, and also offering non-financial support such as compliance, SMMEs to be able to comply with the requirements of legislation. We also strive to improve our processes. I remember when we started, the turnaround time for approving an application from an SMME would take anywhere up to a month based on the information required and the processes that were followed. But we've sort of streamlined, we keep improving on those processes so that the turnaround time is much quicker. And currently, if we have all the information available that we require within a period of 2 weeks maximum, we'll be able to offer the SMME with the final answer, and also funding and disbursement on the project. We also improving our internal governance policies to ensure that we are in compliance. I've referred to FICA and FIC. I know most people, when we require such information, it's not for our use. It's a requirement, it's a legislative requirement. And we instill this to our SMMEs to make sure all their affairs are in order so that they are able to then succeed when they make applications for funding to us. Next slide. I refer to us entering into partnerships with main contractors. I've highlighted some of the contractors. It's not an exhaustive list, so that the SMMEs that we fund have access to work. We also, when we fund bigger contractors, we want to have access to their subcontractors so that they are able to detach the component of the subcontractor, so that a subcontractor is funded and is able to then participate in the material and labor component of the project. Because what we picked up is most subcontractors, you find they are labor-only subcontractors, but in assessing projects, when we engage with contractors, we want the subcontractors to also participate in the material side of component of the project, and we then provide the funding, which then gives security to the main contractor and also make sure the work is executed in time. So we also do training, as I alluded to, which can be class and also site related. But here, the training component is not done by ourselves. We engage training providers to do that for us. Supplier relationships I've alluded to, where we then engage with companies that do bulk procurement of materials so that we can then also pull our SMME procurement to piggyback on the muzzle of those entities. So the contractors that I've highlighted on the right, we've got MEXA, who are in the civil space, Mahokudi Construction, they were doing mainly work related to ESCOM. Maharule Civil is in the housing space. Mintiro we did work with them on public projects, which involved mainly schools. These are all 100% Black-owned construction companies. Next slide. The one before. You skip one more slide. I think there was a slide that is outstanding. Sorry about that. I have another slide there, but I'll just talk to it. We've done projects mainly in Gauteng with partners, Sanctuary Property Developments, who did developments in Waterfall, developments in Helderfontein, close to Steyn City. We are involved in those projects, and we strive to then provide our SMMEs with access to that pipeline of projects. So as SP Impact Fund, we are learning as we go along. We are a small organization, 5 years old, but we strive to improve based on the learnings that we are experiencing as we provide funding to our SMMEs. And to date, we are quite happy with the progress that we have made and the support that we have received from the Jobs Fund to provide us with the ability to then provide funding to our SMMEs. The next slide, I've just highlighted this slide. When we engaged 2 years ago, we were quite happy with the trajectory that the construction industry was taking. There were positive signs. The economy, the construction sector was growing at the time. But unfortunately, over the past 4 quarters, that seemed to have disappeared. So the slide highlighted there is the latest figures that were released. As you can see, construction fed almost the worst amongst the supply side sectors of the economy. And this we are picking up from our side in terms of the requests for funding that are available, the types of projects that people are coming up with. And I think our hope is that from government side, because I think the state as the biggest infrastructure deliver should be driving that sector. It's a very labor-intensive sector, which can absorb a lot of people because it uses both skilled and unskilled labor. But currently, yeah, the sector is not looking so good, and we are also picking it up from our side, from the funding side, that there has been a slowdown, and hopefully with the new government, there will be emphasis on growing the construction sector because it affects the entire value chain, and we are praying that things will improve. Next slide. And also just highlighting, as I've already alluded to, the contraction in the construction industry, mainly contributed by load shedding, which hopefully has ended now, and also the uncertainty in the political environment, which leads to project delays. Motheo did allude to the issue of construction mafias. I must also confirm that it is happening. It's not a myth. We have funded projects that had come to a halt due to interference by the so-called construction mafia. And that becomes a disastrous situation for our SMMEs because funding has been provided to the SMMEs, there's interest to be paid, but if a project comes to a halt, it becomes a big problem for the SMME. What we have done in those situations, we have looked at open up this course, government officials. Sorry, there was feedback coming in. So I just wanted to confirm that what we've done in those situations, we've sat with the SMMEs, we understand the situation is not out of their fault. We then restructure their loans so that they are able to then continue with the work, so that at least their businesses then become sustainable. I think that's the last slide from our side. If you can go through to the SMME that we funded, Press Business Supplies.
We don't have sound coming through, Karen. Maybe you want to unmute your mic.
So Press Business Suppliers was founded in 2004 by myself and the guy who had the experience in electrical engineering, because the area of expertise that I wanted to specialize in needed someone who had the electrical engineering background. We were doing electrical projects. So we managed to be compliant in 2014. That's when we started the full operational forming Pressed Business Suppliers. So we were doing, or we are still doing, electrical work in construction, consulting, and contracting. On the construction part, we are mostly busy with ESCOM projects. That is our main client. We are doing like the electrification. So electrification is like starting from scratch to build the lines, and then we electrify the villages, and then putting on the transformers as well. So on the consulting part, that's where my other partner comes in. We are doing the designs. Okay, so before we do the construction, we need to have a design of how is the line going to run for the customers to have electricity. And then contracting, on the contracting part, we are not having more, but it's just part of what we are doing. That's what I can say. So most of our clients, it's ESCOM. That's what I can say, because we are having difficulties and challenges to penetrate into the municipalities or any other independent entities. So you have to know someone if you want to be involved there. So that's why we are more focused in ESCOM from 2014 up to now. So if I can say we have the municipalities, it's one. It's not more than one. I think we have only done 3 so far. Remember, as I said, we're having ESCOM as one of our clients. So sometimes it's dry, sometimes we don't have any projects. So for us to go to SP funding, it was because we didn't have any funds, because we didn't have any projects running by that time. So yes, I can say SP funding, they did a positive contribution towards us and allowing us to have the funding from them. competing with men, and then being a woman that have the principles of honesty, of saying maybe I don't have to pay Jojo, I'm compliant. If you put a no tender and then you say these are the requirements, and then you meet the requirements, but still to come back negative, it has been given to someone who knows someone in there. It's still a challenge for women, because so if you want to be honest, you won't go far. But we go to site, let's say it's like this one, the one that was funded by SP. There are more challenges because remember, we have to engage the locals. So the locals, it's hard for them because most of the locals, you find that they are more men than women. Those men to look at you and then say, yes, sebenza nomfazi, yeah, manje lo mfazi, what is she going to give us? Is she going to pay us? You start to have people judging you, like judging you just because you are a woman. Is she strong enough? Is she going to pay us? Even if it's not the EPWPs, even men themselves, sometimes if you talk to them, they'll say, no, I don't think we're going to do this. There's another experience that I came across, the challenge that we underpriced the work. Tried to communicate to say, no, we underpriced the work, and then these are the challenges. So it was only through what you call emails. When they see you face to face, and then that for that municipality say, no, I don't think you are going to be able to deliver this. Just give up this work so that you can give it to someone. But then when we tried to communicate with him, and then when I tell him that no, the challenges that made us to start the work late, it was because we undercharged. And then the people who were responsible from his office, they didn't make him aware about that. And then he said, okay, so now there's nothing that we can do. We want you to do this work. You have to do this work. And then I said, no, not a problem. We'll deliver. But then he was not convinced enough that he can take my word. So 2 weeks back, and then because he said, no, you must be finished before June end, because our financial year end is coming. But he had passed some remarks, some funny remarks, like that undermining what a young lady, but not young. Unfortunately, we delivered, and then he was surprised, and then he said himself, I'm sorry that I judged you. I thought you were not going to deliver. That's what I'm saying. You face some of those things that can make you like you want to give up. So if you don't have a backbone from men, sometimes as your partner, you give it up as a woman and say, no, but then that guy, why is he talking something like this to me? Something like that, So yeah, those are some of the challenges that we are facing. Youth or for women, I think we need to have a workshop so that everyone can have information to say, okay, if I need this, or if I came across a challenge like this, what is my approach? How do I solve it? Something like that. After the project that we are doing, we were promised to be given another project. We worked positively and then on time, and then we never had challenges like paying for of the EPWPs. Training is needed to some of the Black female SMMEs, and even with the youth, because some of them they will sit or they will come to you and say, no, Mom Precious, I've got a project here and there, whatever, somewhere. I don't know where to get funding because my company is still new. I don't have financials to back it up for me to get money maybe from the bank, or for me to get money from SP. Sometimes you find, say, he's got a supplying tender or just to supply, and then someone is just failing to supply because they don't have a background to say they've got experience or they've got funds. Someone is just starting from zero and then he has to subcontract. When you get to site, you must employ the people from that area, or you must report to the certain municipality because you cannot start. There are challenges of if you don't do what they say. I don't know if you're picking what I'm trying to say. If you don't do what they ask, you try to be honest, then you're not going to work. So you must be prepared to be very strong. So remember, if you're coming in then in this industry, you must be prepared that if you're starting a project, you must have a strong pocket, because you cannot just go there and then you say, I'm precious, I'm here for a project, with your mouth only. Yeah.
Thank you very much to both Motheo and SP. We are now at the Q&A session, where now you will be allowed to raise your hand and raise a question which has not been covered on the chat. So you can raise your hands and ask the questions.
I know maybe you want to take some of the questions that are coming through in the chat and just pose them to the...
Yeah, if you can please assist me, because some have been answered already. So the ones which... Okay, there's a question for Motheo that says, how do you select the SMMEs? What criteria do you use?
Can you see me?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So I think I did respond to this question that was asked a little bit earlier in the chat, but I think I mentioned that there's two kind of tracks here. You've got the Motheo Enterprise Development Program, which of course consists of entities that Motheo has, if I can say, existing relationships with, new entities that obviously meet the criteria that the Motheo Group is focusing on. As Meleti has mentioned, we very much focused on female-owned, Black female-owned organizations, and so of course that's the one channel. The other channel is, of course, linked to the actual projects that are being implemented on the ground. And so where we have projects in a location, wherever those projects are all over the country, of course, there's also criteria. There's then a process of identifying those SMMEs based on the scope of work, but also on the internal criteria that we have. And then there's the process of doing the baseline and understanding that organization and then channeling them into whatever the interventions that are going to be best suited to support that entity. I hope that answers that question. Thank you.
Thanks. I see there's a hand from Ndumiso Mncube. Maybe when you raise a question, you can be specific on, is it directed to Motheo, SP, or to both? Ndumiso, you can. I see Ndumiso is unmuted, but I can't hear him.
Hi there, colleagues. I see a question here from Lance from GRZ. He asks a slightly different question: is skills development incorporated into procurement processes in line with the CIDB Act? So that question, I think, even goes beyond specifically Jobs Fund. I think what Lance is asking about is how does the industry, if I can say, incorporate skills development strategies that are established via CIDB? How does that actually propagate into projects? And I can answer that. So the CIDB, of course, they've developed their own skills development standards. And so part of what they're doing at the moment is they are propagating that standard within the bill of quantities of projects that are being tendered. I know it's been adopted largely by some of the big departments, where you'll find obviously those skills development targets are actually integrated into the bill of quantities, and there's certain percentages that are earmarked within the bill to focus on skills development of various types. It includes obviously candidacy developments, accredited training, internship placements. So there's a whole range of different skills development that is built in a sense by a lot of contracts. I can't say that it's across the board at the moment, but I know CIDB are working very closely to integrate that into the process. Of course, what we do with Jobs Fund is slightly different in that we're implementing very proactive, very targeted initiatives that line up with the skill standards in the industry. Thank you. Are there any others that I can maybe deal with here?
Maybe if I could also raise a question here. There is some notion out there in the industry that it's not every SMME that wants to go up the CIDB grading ladder. Is that the case? And if it is so, why is it that others are happy remaining in the lower grades?
Perhaps that question could go to Meleti.
I'm here, Jeff, to answer to that. You are correct. We find some of the SMMEs telling us that they are not interested when it comes to upgrading their CIDB. And why? Because there are contractors that have made a decision that they only want to do subcontracting work, and subcontracting work that don't necessarily require the presentation of the CIDB grading. So you do get those contractors that will look at your track record, and they won't necessarily be interested on whether you've upgraded or not. So you find those that are comfortable to operate in that space. Really, from me, I don't think it's something that I'll encourage, because growth is important. And for you to continuously demonstrate your growth, you need to be looking at your CIDB grading. So you're right, it's there. And secondly, you find people that are currently sitting at grade 6, and they've implemented work that can take them to a grade 8, but they're not willing to do that because they feel the minute you start competing at that level, it will then put them at a more disadvantaged position. Whether that is right or wrong, I think really it's dependent on how you want to pursue your market, because I think it's important to diversify and not only look at public sector. If you look at both public and private, you can come up with strategies on how to deal with those challenges as far as business is concerned. So that's my view, Daniel, on
that. Thanks, Letty. Stephen, is on your side, is that you share the same sentiments?
I think I do. But what we've picked up is mainly in the private sector related projects, CIDB grading is not a requirement. So most subcontractors there are not registered. Whereas those who participate in public sector projects have to be registered. We do encourage one of our requirements when we do funding, you must be CIDB registered. So we do encourage people to then register to be able to access our funding.
Thanks, Stephen. I hope most or all the questions were answered in the chat. If anyone feels that their questions was not responded to, I can give one or two people to get their questions addressed if we've missed any question from the chat.
Sorry, Chair, may I please, I'm following up on a question that German has raised. He's now provided some more clarity. So German, what I can say is that if I understand correctly, you're referring to Motheo's ISO 9001, 45001 systems that we obviously as an organization have adopted in the implementation and structuring of our business. Now, of course, the permeation of us running those systems is that our partners, our subcontractors, then obviously need to fit into the standard in terms of how our internal implementation is run, and they of course become familiar with that via the mentorship process that we're running, and of course the standards that are then set out and processes that become part of that system at a site level. So the question obviously then goes to say, is that something specifically that we are supporting? And I say that, the process of actually getting, an entity lined up, in terms of these standards is quite an intimate process. And so we obviously promote that, but it's outside of the scope of this particular activity for us to have them specifically get accredited as an outcome. But certainly it is something that we support and guide. And if the opportunity were to present itself, I think that's a different situation. But it is very much a mentorship process. And so you kind of find the entity where they are and then identify the needs from where you see. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We are going to share with you a survey which we would like that you fill before you leave, and at the same time I will also ask Najwa Ali Adris, who's the head of the Jobs Fund, to make her closing remarks and thank all of us for being here.
Thank you so much, Lionel. Ndumiso, I see your hand is up. Do you have a question that hasn't been answered? Ndumiso is not responding. Kilibukheli, your hand is up. Do you have a question?
Yes, Najwa, it's Stephen here. Just requesting to share our contact details. As funders, we're looking for clients. So I see there's 119 people there.
Please put your contact details into the chat. I see that you have. Also, if Motheo can do that, please.
Yes, we have. Yeah.
Awesome. Right. There's another hand up. I just see the first name. It says Tatu. It will be the last hand that I'll take before I close the session. Okay, the hand is gone now. Then let me just end off by saying thank you very much to our presenters this morning. When we started out, we heard a shocking statistic around that 93% of emerging construction contractors are unable to sustain a business beyond 3 years. And so what we've heard from our partners, our Jobs Fund partners, Motheo and SP here, is the kind of approach that they have adopted in order to change that statistic. It is clear that when you intervene in this sector, you must intervene in a way that is fit for purpose. So coaching and mentoring, technical support is all necessary components of assisting emerging contractors in a holistic way. It is not just about skills development, it's also the market access, it's also the access to finance. It's also assistance in terms of navigating the regulatory environment. It's assistance in terms of improving the general standards that emerging contractors then adhere to. So if we are going to be focusing on creating sustainable enterprises, then it is important that we adopt a holistic approach to this. However, what we've also seen this morning is the importance of strategic partnerships. Motheo and SP Fund are those strategic partners, and it is through their programs, their reach, their position in the market that they are able to assist emerging contractors, connect them with finance, connect them with training, connect them with all the kind of services that they require in order to make their businesses a success. I think that a lot of what has been said this morning is around the the supply side issues that we've introduced in order to make the operators and the contractors more successful and have more sustainable relations. But I think one of the questions that was put in the chat, and also the issues that was raised here by Stephen, is around the fact that we do need to create greater demand in our economy. The construction industry is a complex industry. It is tough. There's lots of competition. You train and you work with emerging contractors in one particular geography. You move to another geography, you can't take those contractors with you. There's competition at every level. And so if you don't increase the size of the demand in our economy, then this will always be contested terrain. So we hope that as we move forward as a country, we really do ensure that we open up these pathways, and we open up access, and we ensure that as we invest in bigger infrastructure programs, that these large infrastructure programs have a specific program as part of that of those initiatives that looks at how do they engage emerging contractors in their value chains. And so on that note, I want to say thank you very much to all of you for participating, to the presenters. Thank you very much to our partners, SP, Motheo, and also to those people who have been partnering with these two respective organizations. Thank you very much for the work that we do. Jobs will remain a focus for us in our country. It is imperative that we create greater demand in our economy so that we can ensure that there's greater number of jobs available for people who so wish to work. On that basis, have a good day further, everybody, and thank you.
Thanks, colleagues. Thank you, colleagues. Signing out.